Beneath the mountains of northern Israel, workers are recreating a great railway. This legendary transport system once ran from the Mediterranean all the way to the Sea of Galilee. But during construction, they stumble across something of even greater historical significance, for they'd found the relics of an industry that thrived 1,600 years ago. Back then, the region that's now Israel was under the control of the Roman Empire. The country wasn't alone. At the time, the empire also ruled over vast areas of the Mediterranean and Europe. But although imperial influence had begun to wane, the area still enjoyed the benefits that the Romans had introduced across their lands. Although the Romans were often plagued by power struggles, they had a rich culture that spread across their territory. The arts in particular were highly prized across the empire. From Rome to Jerusalem, paintings, sculptures, and a lavish architecture decorated homes and public buildings. Over 1,500 years later, vast empires still fought to control people and territories around the world. And by the beginning of the 20th century, the British had set their sights on Palestine, then part of the Ottoman Empire. Hoping to increase its influence in the region, the nation proposed a railway that would connect the area with India. As part of this grand scheme, a number of different people proposed railway routes through the Jerusalem Valley. Then part of Palestine, this enormous plain runs from Mount Carmel in the west to Jordan Valley in the east. Eventually, the Ottomans themselves decided to undertake the construction, beginning work on the track in 1902. After its completion, the Jezreel Valley Railway formed part of the Hejaz Railway. This was a narrow-gauge track stretching over 800 miles from Medina in Saudi Arabia to Damascus in Syria. Connecting the seaport of Haifa to the main line, it helped this corner of the Middle East to develop. After World War II, the region descended into political turmoil and the railway was closed down. However, in 2011, work began on a new track that would follow a similar course to the original route. But in the process of constructing the revamped Jezreel Valley line, workers discovered something astonishing buried beneath the earth. In the summer of 2015, Al-Salam Sai'id from the Israel Antiquities Authority was supervising work on the new railway. At the time, the Native Israel Company was building a stretch of track between the Ha-Emakim and Yagur junctions, and it was Sai'id's job to inspect the site for anything of archaeological importance. However, nothing could have prepared Sai'id for what he found. In the trench on the construction site, he spotted a floor covered in a layer of ash, along with broken pieces of glass. Suspecting that there was more to be discovered, he put a stop to the project and began planning a proper excavation. Apparently, it was the right decision. As archaeologists excavated the area, they discovered evidence that the site had once been used to manufacture glass. We exposed fragments of floors, pieces of vitrified brick from the kilns, and clean raw glass chips, explained Sai'id to Israel National News in 2016. According to experts, the kilns were of a relatively simple construction. In one compartment, a fire would be lit that would heat the adjoining section to 1200 degrees Celsius. Then workers would place a combination of sand and salt inside for up to 2 weeks. Eventually, these substances would melt and form glass. However, these kilns were not used to produce this material on a small scale. In fact, it's thought that some of the pieces forged there might have weighed as much as 10 tons. That means the site must have been used for industrial levels of production. Afterwards, the glass was broken down into compact sections and sent to manufacturers. They in turn melted it for a second time and used it to construct a variety of items. But that wasn't the only amazing thing about the find. Apparently, the constructions dated from around 400 AD, making them the oldest kilns ever uncovered in Israel. In fact, before this discovery, archaeologists had only found evidence of glass manufacturing dating from some 2 centuries later. When the Jezreel Valley kilns were constructed, the Roman Empire was coming to the end of its long reign. But for centuries, the Romans had been popularizing the use of glass in everything from windows to vases and mosaics. And as a result, they were always in need of a constant supply. The glass manufactured in what is now Israel was known as Judean glass, according to sources from the time. And rather than the pricier Alexandrian glass from Egypt, it provided a cheaper source of the popular material. However, experts had always struggled to identify its exact source. The mystery has now been solved thanks to Sai'id and his colleagues. Chemical analysis conducted on glass vessels from this period discovered at sites in the Mediterranean have shown that the glass is from this region, explained Yael Goren-Rosen from the Israel Antiquities Authority's Glass Department. Now, for the first time, the kilns have been found where the raw material was manufactured that was used to produce this glassware. Goren-Rosen continued, "This is a very important discovery with implications regarding the history of the glass in the entire ancient world." Ian Freestone, a professor of archaeological materials and technology at University College London, agrees. "It's of great significance for understanding the entire system of the glass trade in antiquity," he enthused. "This is evidence that Israel constituted a production center on an international scale. Hence, its glassware was widely distributed throughout the Mediterranean and Europe." However, the fact that the kilns are still in reasonable condition has the experts excited, and they hope to gain a better understanding of the production process by studying them. In addition, researchers plan to use this discovery to track the journey of the materials across Roman territory. Just months after the discovery, the results of the excavation were displayed at a school in Israel's Haifa district. Meanwhile, work on the railway continued apace, with the first passengers riding the newly opened line in October 2016. Amazingly, if it wasn't for Israel's desire to reconstruct that old railway, it might never have uncovered its fascinating past.